So there's this saying in the entrepreneurial world, and that is, don't die today. Mm-hmm. And that means try to keep the lights on for one more day doing this. So why do you think so many filmmakers don't make another film? How do they get their first film made and then go on to their second, and then their third, and then their fourth? A lot of them, it seems like, don't. They don't go past the first. And I can understand why. They're tapped out financially, exhausted. They didn't see it had the kind of distribution that they wanted, obviously. Yeah. But you could ask the same, why do people keep starting companies over and over again and then go on to another one if it doesn't work out?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I think it's different for everybody. I think that there are people that only have one movie in them, you know, or that in the making of the movie, they realize that that was enough, you know, that was enough. I don't need to make any more movies or want to make any more movies. But I think most people who are, you know, genuine filmmakers, if they make a film, regardless of what happens, whether it did well or never got distribution, regardless of what happens, you're constantly searching for a route to make the next movie, whatever it is. And so why they don't make a second movie may just be, like you said, it could be that they don't have the financial means to make it independently, that perhaps maybe they've gone up for jobs but didn't get them. I mean, I've been up for millions of jobs that I didn't get. I don't know. I have a lot of empathy for filmmakers who don't get the next movie made, because I've been one of them. You know, I just know what that's like. It's a very painful thing to really want to work and make something and not have the means, or maybe even the psychological, emotional foundation to carry forward, because there's a lot of there's a lot of damage that gets done if it doesn't all work out, you know, and most of the time it doesn't. So there has to be something inside of you that somehow pushes you over all that damage to make the next thing. And I think that those of us that are able to do that are lucky. But I'm not sure. You know, I'm not sure. I just know that there are a lot of people who want to make movies that don't get a chance.
Do you think they feel like angry that no one appreciated their work, or is it just why bother?
I think it's part of it. I think if you put your heart and soul in something and nobody gives a shit, you're going to be, you know, the tendency to be bitter or disappointed or even broken is very likely. It's funny, I remember hearing something about Marlon Brando, who certainly, you know, had a rich and varied career and had no reason to complain, but they said there was a dividing line in his work. It was everything before One-Eyed Jacks, which he directed, the only movie he ever directed, and after One-Eyed Jacks. They said his personality after One-Eyed Jacks was much more, I don't really give a shit. Because he talked about how One-Eyed Jacks for him was like he put everything into that movie. He wanted that movie, which is the one movie he directed. He probably wanted to direct more. He wanted that to make a difference. And people at the time were like, One-Eyed Jacks, whatever. And so he was like, well, fuck this, then fuck it. I don't want to try and fuck it. I'm not going to do this again. And he only gave this much instead of this much. Whether that's true or not, I think it's understandable. You can get, you can get despondent, and you can get, it's like, you know, not wanting to, if you had been in a bad relationship and your heart's been broken, you're not going to be like, yeah, I'm going to fall in love again. You're kind of like, yeah, maybe I'll, you know, you like, so there's a lot of, I'm going to wait for that. But I think that if you've been hurt, you're going to stop. You know, I know that, again, like Search and Rescue has taken many years for me to get to this point. Even though I've been super lucky to be able to work on a lot of different projects over the years, I hesitated putting this into play because I knew I had to do it myself, that I had to do it in an unorthodox manner, that it wasn't just going to be something that it was all going to be set up, and I knew I had to do everything. And that in and of itself is kind of like, once you start to pile up all the stuff that you have to do, that in and of itself could stop you, you know, from taking that first step. So yeah, I think that any filmmaking, like any art, is populated by a lot of sensitive people, because to do anything good you have to have a certain degree of sensitivity, but that also makes you vulnerable to the to what happens in the real world when things don't go your way, and maybe those people feel it a little bit more strongly and don't bounce back as readily, maybe.
You talked about dating and relationships. It reminds me of going on a date, like, yeah, I'll go, all right, I'll have coffee with this person, and you're just like, whatever. And then the person that you're like, I can't even,
That's right.
I won't be able to speak, you
That's
know?
Right.
So, and those are the projects you want to work on, but you're afraid because, you know.
What if it doesn't work out?
Right.
What if they break, what if the movie, it's like almost like, what if the movie breaks up with me? You know what I mean?
Right.
That's really what it is. It's like, I'm going to put my everything into this, and what if the movie dumps me? You know, which, you know, is funny. I never thought about it in those terms, but, you know, I mean, all you have to do is look at, you know, Terry Gilliam, and he said some really dumb things lately, which is like, Jesus, Terry, you're supposed to be the freak. Why are you saying these stupid things? But, you know, obviously Lost in La Mancha is the easiest way of representing that idea of going after something with everything you've got, and then just to be sort of smited when everything goes wrong and the movie doesn't happen. So that experience is something that all filmmakers who've been doing it for years know, that they've gotten this close, or they maybe, in that, just as in that case, were actually shooting and it fell apart. So the movie can break up with you, and that can be devastating, and that can be reason enough not to like start it, not to get into another movie relationship.
Sure. Or you can make your Hearts of Darkness and you can film it.
Right. You can just film it, exactly. At least you get something, yeah.
And then you have two things but right. That's a rare instance.
That's true. That's true. And I think he was, you know, it's clearly when you watch Hearts of Darkness, all he wanted was for him to fall off a pier and break his leg so he didn't have to finish the movie. So in that case, you know, he wanted out because he thought he was fucking it up so badly. And it just turned out that, of course, he wasn't. But
right.
Yeah, I think when you see a documentary about filmmakers going through that doubt and those fears, those are the healthiest documentaries. There's not a lot of them, but those are the ones that I think are the most beneficial to filmmakers and students, because you understand that it's not just, oh, these are professionals that now they're there and they couldn't possibly have self-doubt and they couldn't possibly be racked with anxiety. It's like, no, it doesn't matter where you are in your career, you're always, if it matters, feeling those feelings, and sometimes those feelings can be overpowering. You know, you have to be able to harness that and use that energy in some other way to get it done. But yeah, we all feel those pressures and those anxieties, no matter where you are, whatever stage you're at.
Right. It's kind of like with Jim Carrey with the Netflix, forgive me, I'm drawing a blank on the name.
Yeah, right.
He was willing to show
right.
various things, and a lot of people, I think, aren't willing to go there, and I understand why.
Yeah.
And not everybody's at the level that Jim Carrey is. I think once you get to a certain level, then you can show all that.
Right.
You probably can't.
That's true.
Certain, you know.
But people are afraid. People are afraid to expose that for fear of losing what you have. That if people see that vulnerability or that humanness, that somehow it will contribute to people taking that away, what you've striven for so many years. But yeah, I think those are the healthiest documentaries for any filmmaker to see.